It's time for the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. And now, presenting the reigning, defending, undisputed combat sports show champion of the world, Flash Knockdown.
So now let's move away from the AFC cards and have a look at some of the previous fights that my guests have been involved in on Almighty. And let's start with episode 2 and Ben Creepy Crawley, the former AFC welterweight champion, who makes his return at AFC 19, but this time at middleweight. Just on that, he'll be fighting an exciting prospect, making his MMA debut in Tom Burton. I believe Tom was a national Sambo and judo champion. How highly is he rated by his team at Hamilton Helens?
To put it lightly,
yeah,
Tom is making his debut.
He is.
I think Ben is something like 5 and 3 or something. 4 and 3.
Yeah.
I don't ever put a debut guy with a guy who's had 7 fights.
I was going to say.
But when you've got someone like Tom, I can't put him with another debut guy because it's not a fair fight because of all the experience he's got outside of MMA, which is why we were happy to make that fight. So the fact they were willing to take a guy who's had 7 fights and who's our former champ kind of shows that they think of him really, really highly. I think that he'll be someone that has not loads of amateur fights because of the experiences he's got, and he'll be turning pro. But right. Yeah, it's a big test for him though, because I mean, Ben's shown just on Almighty how durable he is. His fight with Johnny is one of the craziest fights you'll ever watch. To be brutalized Brocklesby style for three full rounds, clinch, battered, taken down, clinch, battered, taken down, rinse and repeat. Johnny is so tough. And then to come out and do what he did in the 4th round with one of the most craziest submission finishes you'll ever see. Literally a kick gone wrong and then all of a sudden bang, knee bar, over. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's another fight I'm really looking forward to be fair, because of the pedigree that Tom's got, but knowing what Ben brings to the table as well. Yeah, I think but I think if I count down the most memorable moments of my AFC, and I've done it loads of times, it's always up there. If not number one, it's always up there. The Ben Crawley moment.
I was going to ask you if that was one of the most dramatic finishes to an AFC fight you've ever seen. So
the most dramatic.
Really, the most.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And to appreciate it, you have to watch the whole fight.
Yes.
You have to watch. You can't just watch the 4th round. There's no drama. You have to watch the whole fight and see how that fight was going. I mean, Brocklesby was mauling him. Brocklesby is so good, and he was mauling him. We've had some crazy moments on Almighty, but I'd say that was the craziest.
Wow, that is some accolades. Wow, that's incredible. I did not know that.
Yeah, it is. It's the craziest.
Wow. Yeah, because he was getting mauled. Like I said, every round was probably 10-8, perhaps even 10-9s.
Yeah, 10-9s, maybe 10-8s, but yeah. It was all Brocklesby. Ben hadn't won a round. No, so at worst, he was 3 rounds down. If there's a 10-8 in there, then he's worse. But True. He's at least 3 rounds down with 2 rounds to go. Wow. The only way he's getting that is if he gets a finish.
And he did.
He did.
Yeah, dramatically. He did.
Unbelievable. Okay. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Unbelievable, Jeff. So on to episode 4. And Harry, the Welsh bandit, Kenworthy, who on your last show at AFC 16 defeated the self-proclaimed pussy magnet, Tom Sr.
Brilliant,
man.
This is what confidence looks like.
Crazy. A complete contrast in styles between these 2 young and talented lions. Harry is more of a wrestler, and Tom, due to his length, is more of a striker. A great contest overall. What were your thoughts?
So a little bit of backstory for you on Tom, because I know you like backstories.
Please.
So Tom obviously fought. That was Tom's 2nd fight on Almighty.
Yeah, AFC 14. Evans.
So, and if you ever watched that fight, it was absolutely crazy. Yeah,
crazy.
It was like
crazy.
It was Yeah, Tom was amazing. He's just so aggressive.
Yeah.
And before the shows, I always message all the guys and ask for certain bits of information. And I normally put all the fighters from the same gym in a group because it just means I'm not messaging. Instead of messaging 5 people 5 times, I can message 5 people once, and that's it. And one of the things I asked him was, have you got a nickname? And Tom's a young lad, obviously, very confident, very full of himself, as you are at that age, fair play to him. And he's a lovely lad. And he put down Pussy Magnet, and of course he got some stuff from his teammates. And I said, that's fine. Anyway, about 2 weeks before the show, he messaged me and said, oh, look, I thought about it. Can you change it and not do that and just don't put a nickname? I said, yeah, that's fine. So I mentioned to his team that he was not doing it. He said, oh, no, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. So we didn't tell him we were doing it, but we still got the announcer to announce his name as the Pussy Magnet. So he didn't know that was happening until then. So yeah, it was a tough fight for him, to be fair. It wasn't the fight originally I offered for Tom. I offered him another fighter who I think would have been a better matchup because it would have been someone that would have struck with him, and I think that would have been suited Tom's style more. But he didn't want that fight, but he wanted the fight with Harry. I thought Harry was going to be a real tough step up for him because of his style. He's had a lot more fights, but that's the fight they wanted. And Harry come out and he won every moment of the fight. He controlled Tom, but Tom never went away. Tom was always trying to get back into the fight, but Harry's top game and takedowns was just too good.
Absolutely. Is it likely that we will see both Harry and Tom on future AFC shows?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got plans next year to be going to different locations. I tried to get Harry a match for the show in Liverpool, but I had that many guys come forward. I just couldn't get everybody on, unfortunately. So that's why he's not on this card. But he'll be on a future show. And Tom, I think once we're back at the Metrodome, which we've got 2 shows planned there next year, we normally get loads of support from his team, Body Tough Gym. So I expect them to have a full team on again, and I think Tom will be included in that.
Perfect. That's good to know. Thank you very much for that, Ray. So on to episode 5 and Harry's teammates at Hammer, North Wales. Kyle, the natural born killer Jones, who also featured on AFC 16. Kyle got the TKO victory that evening at the end of round 2, landing a right hand flush on his opponent's chin before imploding into some relentless ground and pounds. Due to his relative martial arts inexperience, is Kyle one of the dark horses of the division?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough fight for him, really. He was fighting against a guy from Sheffield Shoot Fighters, a real tough fighter. Yeah, Oliver Harriet, real tough fighter. Oliver was coming in heavier because he wanted to fight at 74, where normally Kyle fights at 70. So yeah, it was a big fight for Kyle, and I didn't know who was going to win the fight. But yeah, and it wasn't just the fact he won; it was the way he won. It was an impressive win. I always say it's not, you have Dana White's Contender Series. It's not about winning on that show. It's about winning impressively, and that's what Kyle did. He didn't just win; he won impressively.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll be seeing Kyle soon, hopefully back in the almighty cage. That's my plan anyway.
Perfect. I hope so too. The natural born killer. So for episode 6, I welcomed Ruben the Terminator, who featured on AFC 10 at the Barbican in York. And in true Ruben fashion, winning by TKO in under 40 seconds. A scary competitor, isn't he, Ray?
Yeah, he's very aggressive. And it was a good finish. But I think the one that stood out to me was he had a big finish on another show. And I think it was Ice, I think.
Josh from, you mentioned it, Black Ledge MMA.
Yeah, I remember it being a real good finish.
Yeah.
He's certainly one to look out for, Ruben. He's very aggressive. But again, they're another good gym MMA academy. They've got some great fighters at that gym.
Yeah, like Connor.
Yeah, Connor, Michael Hughes, Pat Saborski. They've got some real good lads there.
Absolutely. And then speaking
Michael Thompson, sorry.
Yeah, Curtis Campbell, another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a very, very good gym.
Absolutely. And then speaking about Pat's, so Ruben's post-fight celebration was absolutely wild. And that was due to seeing his teammate, Pat the Problem, get viciously knocked out by Lewis Blair early that evening. Thankfully, Pat is doing well and has since made his comeback, which is awesome. Credit also to the ref that night, who reacted extremely well. You take fighter safety very seriously, Ray. Can you just outline the medics that are typically on hand
Yeah, we have a doctor. We have doctor and paramedics, and we have an ambulance on standby as well. They have medical tests done before the fights, and if there's anyone who needs it afterwards, of course, there's people there for them to see. We normally have 3 paramedics, so we've always got at least 1 or 2 cage side, and we've got people who can be at the back if they're needed.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, we want to make sure, especially when we've got a lot of young fighters on as well, we need to make sure they're looked after properly.
Yes, absolutely. Nice one, Ray. And then on to Connor Hughes, a man so good, he's featured twice on my show, and a former AFC amateur lightweight champion. Speaking of which, let's look at the fights where he won that belt against a very tough Sam Malarkey, a guy that just loves manhandling his opponents. How impressed were you with how Connor dealt with Sam that evening?
Yeah, so Sam obviously comes from the Guerrilla Fight team, which is we've talked a lot about Johnny Brocklesby tonight.
Yeah.
And the style of Johnny and his brother Matt is they literally grind you up, take you down, beat you up, and that's what Sam does as well, and he does it really well. I think what was impressive with Connor on that particular night was the way he postured and was able to use his posture to defend the takedown, which was something that I don't think I've seen that technique done quite like that quite so well. So to watch it was really impressive. But he didn't just beat Sam as well; he put Sam away.
Yeah,
because Sam's tough. He comes from a good gym, a gym that's been involved with us since the very beginning, and they've always they've won probably 75% of their fights on the show. And we put on tough fights, so that says it all really. But yeah, so it was a super impressive fight, and of course that then went on to lead to the amateur lightweight fight with Marcus, which is again probably one of our best amateur title fights in the history of Almighty.
That third round was absolutely epic. Would you say that was one of the best amateur rounds in AFC history?
Yeah, why not? We've had so many. It's so hard to remember. We've had so many moments and so many rounds, but it's up there. Yeah, the drop when he dropped him and he come back and he had him up against the cage, and yeah, it was just all heart, and that's what Connor is. He's got no quit in him.
No, he hasn't. No, and they both got a standing ovation, which was just brilliant to see.
Yeah, we had some real crazy fights that night.
Yeah,
and there was a few fights that could have been fight of the night. There was a fight between Dakota and Levi as well, which was just ridiculous. And then earlier on in the night, there was a fight between, I forget their names now, but it was 2 relatively unknown guys, if you like, and they just beat the crap out of each other. It was just a crazy night. It's our first time in Liverpool as well.
Yeah, it
was really special. We had some real good names in the crowd that night as well, because we had
MVP.
Darren Till was there, Mike Grundy, Chris Fishgold, MVP. Molly McCann was there as well.
Yeah,
it was just amazing. Real good night for us.
So then moving on to episode 9, which featured JJ Danger Mouse Jones, who opened the show at Almighty Fight Night 1 in Leeds under B-class rules. JJ is now living his dream out in Thailand's a new home at Phuket Top Team. How great that martial arts can provide such opportunities, Ray?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, that was very early on in JJ's career. He was very young.
Yeah.
He come out and he won a decision, if I remember rightly.
Yes, he did, against Brian Kenwright.
From Aspire. So,
Aspire. Or LVT, as it was known then.
Of course, yeah, Liverpool Valley Tudor. Yeah, that was again a really well-known gym. But yeah, he's done well. He's had some great fights, wins and losses, and now he's doing his thing out there. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and I just purely out of intrigue rather than anything else, the Fight Night series. What's the story behind that? Because you've just done one and one only.
So we were going to try and do a Fight Night series at the gym. We did that very first show. The show was good, but it wasn't a success for us on the night, unfortunately, as in the sense of we didn't do well on the show financially, so it wasn't worth us doing anymore. So we didn't do any more after that. But we had some good fights on that night, because we had Fabian Edwards headlined against Eagle Paskaskis. So that was 11-0 versus 9-0. And then we also had Jake Hadley and Liam Gittins fight as well that night. And of course, both of them have gone on and are doing well as pros.
Yeah.
So that was a big. We had some good fights that night.
Yeah, that's a shame. Okay, and then finally, my most recent guest on episode 11 featured Liam McCracken, who followed JJ at Fight Night 1, but also competed at AFC 12 versus an experienced opponent from Belgium. Liam won the contest via armbar with 10 seconds to go. Only 19 and already a BJJ purple belt. What a talent he is.
Yeah, Liam got a finish of the night bonus for that as well. He got a bonus for that night. Yeah, he got the armbar. Yeah, Liam,
60 G's, baby.
60 G's. Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but yeah, he got his bonus. He earned it. He was happy. I know he was happy with the bonus as well. It's not a lot, but I think it's just a token for saying, "Well done, you've done good." Yes. I think that probably means more than the actual amount of money, if I'm being honest. Yeah, he's good. I mean, his first fight was a quick guillotine win over Zach Fry. At the time, they were two unknown fighters, but of course, they're both well known now. Both good fighters. I expect to see big things from Liam, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see Liam and Marlon both fight in the UFC in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely agreed. Yeah, absolutely agreed. So the final segment of the show, Ray, is called Flash Fives. I will ask you the following 5 questions, all related to Almighty. And very simply, Ray, you give me your best answer. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. First one then, Ray. The best AFC professional fight you've seen?
I'm going to go with Johnny Brocklesby and Joel Downey Cave.
Okay, tell us.
Because if you watch that fight, it was all about the heart of Brocklesby. In the first round, he got caught with some big punches. He got dropped. He got caught with a front kick. He was in the rear naked choke about 3 times, and he just would not give up. And that first round was easily a 10-8 round. But the will of Johnny is just something special, and there was no quitting him. And eventually, he was able to turn it round, and he was able to put Joel in the rear naked choke and get the win. But the nature of that, again, you'd have to watch the first round to appreciate the finish that come later on. But yeah, special mention to Lister and Otley as well, just because it was such a good finish from Lister. Sure. But yeah, I think I'd go for Brocklesby and Downey Cave.
Okay. The best AFC amateur fight you've seen?
Dan Tempest and Marcin Bednarz.
Okay.
It was unbelievable. I mean, we've had some unbelievable fights, but if I had to pick one, that's my pick.
Okay.
I know that night it was called Fight of the Year, Amateur Fight of the Year.
Right. Okay. And the best finish to an AFC fight you've seen, Ray?
We've had some great finishes. I think I'm going to go for Louis Blair over Pat the Problem.
Ooh, okay.
It was so unexpected because Louis come from a grappling gym, Scramble Academy. It was all about the jiu-jitsu, then bang. So I'll go. That's a hard one because there's so many, but I'll go for Louis Blair.
Okay. The best AFC crowds you've experienced?
Let's go for AFC 12 at the Olympia. We had some really, really crazy fights that night. We talked about the title fight with Connor and Marcus, the 2 ladies that fought and left everything out there. Even the main event with Luke Shanks and Conor Hignett was a good fight. So yeah, let's go with AFC 12.
That's a good choice there, Ray. And then the final one, Ray, your best AFC memory.
I'll go with AFC 16 because it was the first show I did as a sole promoter. Every other show before that had been me and Steve. So doing that one on my own was I was very nervous. There was no one to, if it fell back on anyone, it was on me. It was no one else to fall back on. And it was the first time at a new venue. A lot of fights. The show ran like clockwork. We worked really hard behind the scenes to make sure it did. The fights were fantastic. So yeah, let's go with AFC 16.
That's a very good choice. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the show then, Ray. How did you enjoy the show and the experience overall?
I loved it. I always love
Yeah.
talking MMA. Yeah, I love speaking with you. You're so enthusiastic. I can tell that you love what you do. So it was great to come on and chat with you. I'd watched your interviews, and I was glad when you asked me to come on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ray. And hopefully I'll get you on to a future show.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'm always up for talking MMA.
Wow. Okay. I'll definitely hold you to that.
Yeah, do.
Good.
Please do.
Okay, Ray. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who has tuned in to this special episode of Flash Knockdown with my guest, Ray. And as Bruce Buffer says, the show that engages with people of the combat sports world. Thank you to everyone. And thank you once again, Ray.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much.